The greatest moment at Bennett Park took place on October 12, 1907. The 1907 World Series pitted the Detroit Tigers against the Chicago Cubs. The Tigers were playing their first fall classic and were led by batting champion Ty Cobb, while the Chicago Cubs, winners of 107 games, were hoping to atone for a frustrating World Series loss to the Chicago White Sox the year before. The series would start in Chicago, and the first game would be a hard-fought battle with the score tied at 3 in the 12th inning, but the game would be called due to darkness, resulting in the first tie game in World Series history. The Cubs, however, would steal 7 bases in the game, which would set an aggressive offensive tone that they would use throughout the series. The game would be rescheduled the next day, which the Cubs would win on an outstanding performance by Jack Feaster. They'd win the next 2 games as well, scoring a total of 11 runs and were 1 win shy of their first world championship. George Mullen would go for the Tigers, hoping to atone for his loss in Game 2 against Three-Finger Brown, who was the losing pitcher in the final game of the previous series. The Cubs would strike first in the first inning, taking a 1-0 lead on a single by Harry Steinfeld. They'd tack on another in the second. Brown would cruise through the first 3 innings, but would get into trouble in the fourth. Sam Crawford would lead off with a double, and 1 out later, Claude Rossman would single to put runners on the corners and bring up Bill Coghlan as the go-ahead run. Rossman would then steal second, and with a base hit now capable of tying the game, Brown would get Coghlan to pop out. He would then retire Jimmy Archer on a fly ball to get out of the jam. Brown would cruise through the next 4 innings, but the Cubs weren't able to muster any more offense against Mullen either, as the score would remain 2-0 going into the 9th. With Chicago 3 outs away from the title, they threatened to add on the top of the inning. After Mullen retired the first 2 batters, Frank Schultz singled to bring up Joe Tinker. Tinker would walk to put runners on first and second, and Brown would hit a ground ball to Coghlan. It looked like the inning would be over, but Coghlan would misplay the ball, loading the bases for Jimmy Slagle. But Mullen would strike him out, and the Cubs would have to get the final 3 outs, leading by just 2 runs, with Ty Cobb leading off the home half. Brown would get Cobb to strike out, but Rossman would single to right to bring up Coghlan as a tying run, hoping to atone for his error in the top of the inning. But Brown would retire him on a pop-up. With the Cubs now 1 out away, their final hurdle would be pinch hitter Boss Schmidt. With the people of Chicago's north side anticipating the final out, Brown would get it by retiring Schmidt on a pop-up, giving the Cubs their first of 2 straight world championships and reclaiming their status as Chicago's top team.